Welcome to the Exponents and Order of Operations video. Alright, now we're slowly going to be getting into a little bit more advanced stuff and, bigger boy math, okay? So, you guys know my style. I don't like to waste time. I just like to jump right on into the problems. So let's start off with exponents, okay? Okay, so the directions is just simplified, okay? And the first thing we've got here is 2 to the 5th power, okay? So that's how you say that. This is 2 to the 5th power. This 5 up here, that is the exponent. Oops, there's an N in there. Exponents. Okay, so we're going to simplify that guy. So the first step you do is how can you rewrite this 2 to the 5th? Like essentially, what does that mean? What it means is basically you're just going to say 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So basically you're just multiplying 2 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And you can just break this down. 2 times 2 is 4. So you combine those. You have 2 times 2 times 2. This is 8 times 2 times 2. This is 16 times 2. And you end up with 32. So, okay, just to recap those kind of fast. 2 to the 5th power can be written now as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? Basically what 2 to the 5th means is just 2 multiplied out 5 times. And then 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 ends up being 32. So essentially 2 to the 5th is 32. Okay? And if you understand that concept, that's exponents really. We're going to do one more, but just remember that concept. That's how exponents work. So now let's say we have 2 thirds over, 2 thirds to the 3rd power. Fractions, right? Fractions do show up in math. That's why I picked this problem because, it's probably going to come up in your homework or somewhere in life, and you'll have to end up doing this. So, how do you rewrite 2 over 3 to the 3rd power? Well, you start off by saying it's 2 over 3 times 2 over 3 times 2 over 3. You just do 2 thirds multiplied 3 times, okay? So when you're multiplying fractions, you just multiply the top numbers and you multiply all the bottom numbers. So if you multiply the tops, 2 times 2 times 2 is 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 divided by 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. And that guy does not reduce, so that is your answer. So 2 over 3 to the 3rd power can be rewritten as this, and it's equal to that. Now, just the same thing works vice versa. For instance, if you had 2 thirds and 2 thirds and 2 thirds, you can rewrite that as 2 over 3 to the 3rd power. So it's just vice versa. Okay, so that's exponents, okay? At least that's the basics of exponents. So what we're going to get into now is order of operations. Now this stuff is very, very important. So it's very important that you understand what we talk about next, because ultimately order of operations you're going to find out through all of algebra. Okay, all of algebra, you're going to really need to know order of operations. Okay. Okay, so the first thing we got to talk about is PEMDAS. PEMDAS, I don't know the correct pronunciation. I think it's just PEMDAS. but this is what it is, PEMDAS. Now this is your order of operations, okay? So there's a little, this is basically an acronym. So the P stands for parentheses, E is exponents, M is multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So this is something you do need to write in your notes, okay? So I'll repeat that one more time. And one thing to note is it's always left to right. So it's always whatever comes first, left to right. And we're going to do a good 4 examples of this, so you should understand the concept. But again, so put this in your notes, okay? The P is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. And it always goes from left to right, okay? PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's basically just a trick to, memorize it. All right. So, same directions as before, simplified. But this time, what do we got? We have 2 plus 2 times 5 minus 2 cubed. So you got your exponents again. And just over here, I'm going to keep that up here just for reference. PEMDAS. I'm going to keep that up here for you guys. Okay. So, we have to simplify this statement here. Okay? Parentheses. Alright, is there any parentheses in here? There's not. So, you go to your next one. Exponents. Now, 2 to the third, you got an exponent right here. So you got to deal with this guy first. Okay? So you're just going to rewrite this. You have 2 plus 2 times 5 minus, now what's 2 cubed? Well, again, 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. Okay? Now, so we did our exponents. Cool. Next thing is multiplication. Do you see multiplication in here? Well, 2 times 5. In case you didn't know, this little dot here, there's a tiny dot. I don't know if the camera can see it or not. It just means multiplication, the little dot right there. So, your next step is multiply this guy. So you have 2 plus 2 times 5 is 10 minus 8. So we did our multiplication. Is there division? No. Now you're left with addition and subtraction. Okay? So you just add or subtract left to right. 2 plus 10 is 12 minus 8. 12 minus 8 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is 4. And that is your answer. So 2 plus 2 times 5 minus 2 cubed ends up being 4. Okay, not too bad, right? Let's try another one. Alright, and they're going to progressively get harder, so prepare yourself. Alright, so we have negative 2 cubed minus 4 times negative 3 times 3. Okay. So parentheses. Now, there are parentheses in this problem, but the thing is there's nothing to do within the parentheses, okay? And you'll see what I mean in the next problem. But, so parentheses, you don't need to do anything. Exponents. Boom. You locate the exponent. Got it. Negative 2 cubed, okay? So I'm going to do this in a different color. I'm just going to do this off to the side. So that, again, that's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, okay? This is essentially this guy, okay? So what's negative 2 times negative 2? Well, negative times a negative is always a positive, and 2 times 2 is 4. So we have positive 4 times a negative 2. So what's 4 times negative 2? Well, it's going to be negative, because a positive times a negative is a negative. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay? So, negative 2 cubed, let me go back to blue, is negative 8. And then we just do one step at a time, so you rewrite the rest here. Okay, now we did our exponents, now we're at multiplication. Well, these parentheses here, those indicate multiplication as well. So this is essentially negative 4 times negative 3 times 3. So we have a negative 8 here, minus, well, what's a negative 4 times a negative 3? Again, negative times negative is positive. 4 times 3 is 12. And we still have times 3 here. Okay? So we're still on multiplication because there's still this guy here. So we have negative 8 plus, what's 12 times 3? That is going to be 36. And then so we're done multiplication. There's no division. Now there's addition or subtraction. So we have negative 8 plus 36. So I always think of when you're adding or subtracting, it makes sense to me to think about money because everyone uses money on a day-to-day basis. So you have negative. Negative means like you're in debt. You owe someone $8, but then you have 36. So after paying them, how much money do you have? Well, you're going to have $28. Okay, and you could also do that off to the side. You could say 36 minus 8. Well, you have to borrow from the 3 here. 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. 2 minus nothing is just 2. Okay, so in case you can't do that in your head, you can just go off to the side and do the work. Okay, so hopefully this whole order of operations stuff is making sense. Let's try another one. So we have 6 divided by 3 plus 3, and then in parentheses we got 4 minus 5 times 3. Okay, so now parentheses. You see parentheses, we have some stuff in here to do. So that's what it means by parentheses, if there's something to do within parentheses. So we're just going to have 6 divided by 3 plus this 3 here. So within the parentheses, you can also do order of operations. So there's no exponents in here, so we got to do the multiplication first. 5 times 3 is 15, okay? So we still got some stuff to do in this parentheses. So we just keep on copying this stuff down. 4 minus 15, okay? What is that? Well, it's going to be negative 11, okay? Okay, so we're done with our parentheses, okay? Because we're down to a single, there's still parentheses here, but we're down to a single number, so parentheses are done. Exponents. Well, there's no exponents. Multiplication and division. So one thing I should add here is that multiplication and division is kind of like one thing, and addition and subtraction is kind of another thing. So it doesn't really matter which one comes first, multiplication or division. What matters is if it's left to right. So you see, there's multiplication here, and there's division here. Well, the division comes first, so it's okay to do the division first, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, because how many times can 3 go into 6? 3, 6, 2 times. Plus 3 times negative 11. Now we have our multiplication. So we have 2 plus, well actually, let me make that look a little nicer. So we have our 2 here, and then what's 3 times a negative 11? It is negative 33. 3. Okay? And then now we have no more multiplication or division, so we're on to adding or subtracting. 2 minus 33 is going to be negative 31. So this whole expression here reduces down or simplifies down to negative 31. Alright, so hopefully you guys are catching on. We're going to do one more, and this problem's pretty tough, so 6, and then we got a bracket here. Bracket's like the same thing as parentheses, okay, just to clarify that. So we have 14 minus 7, 3 minus 5 minus 5 squared, close bracket. So we have like parentheses within brackets, so it's kind of like mathceptions, like inception. Anyways, yeah, I gotta work on my jokes. Well, so basically parentheses is first. So you can do, like, you're gonna do the smaller parentheses first, and then you're gonna have to do the bigger parentheses, or brackets in this case. So we have 6, 14 minus 7, 3 minus 5 is negative 2, minus 5 squared. So now we've reduced this parentheses down to a single number. So now we gotta do the, now we gotta do what's inside this whole thing here. So, exponents. Got our 6 out here still. 14 minus 7 times negative 2 minus, what's 5 squared? 5 times 5 is 25. Should be brackets. Let me clarify one thing real quick. You see, there's a difference between negative 5 squared and negative 5 squared. This is a common mistake I see a lot of students, misunderstand. Negative 5 squared, how it's written here, it's like negative 5 times 5, okay? A negative 5 times 5, which ends up being a negative 25. I know we're getting like pretty tight over here. This right here, if the negative 5 is in parentheses like this, this is negative 5 times negative 5. So a negative times a negative is a positive 25, okay? So make sure you don't mix those up. That's why this is a negative 25, is because it's a negative 5 squared. So it's negative 25. Just thought I should throw that little bit in there. All right. So we're continuing on this thing. Next thing is multiplication. So we got these things, negative 7 times negative 2 in here. So we have 6, 14. Now what's negative 7 times a negative 2? Negative times negative is positive. 7 times 2 is 14. Minus 25 here. Now, we're still working within this brackets, right? Because technically, like, parentheses comes first. So we're basically just doing the order of operations within the brackets right now. So now you're just gonna, add or subtract. So we still got our 6 out here. 14 plus 14 is 28 minus 25. I'm just gonna bring my work over here. So now we got to deal with this 28 minus 25. So you got 6, bracket, 28 minus 25 is, you guys know the answer? It's 3, right? 3. And now, finally, the brackets have been condensed all the way down to a single number. So now it's just multiplication from this point. 6 times 3 is 18, okay? So like I said, order of operation, it can be pretty tricky at first, but it's very, very important that you understand order of operations because they don't go away, okay? Exponents don't either. So really, if anything kind of didn't make any sense in this video, please rewind it and watch it again because the basics in algebra is the foundation to the rest of mathematics. Okay, so you need a good solid foundation, just like a house. You know, a house isn't gonna stand up, you know, without crumbling down unless it has a good foundation. Same exact thing with math. So, all right, guys, I will see you guys in the next video.